Yes! I knew the gods would see the injustice against me set right. Here they send an agent of my absolution. I am Fuyu of the Winter Clan. The gods themselves have delivered you to me, Cursebreaker. So do as they have ordained and return my shape-shifting powers to me at once! You defy the will of the gods at your own peril, mortal. But my fallen enemies would attest that standing in defiance of me will lead to a reckoning that is far more swift and infinitely more brutal. Has anyone ever told you the parable of the proud samurai who denied me my due? No? That's because I had all traces of him expunged from history. Even his descendants do not know his pitiful name. I've watched the rise and fall of emperors. Generations like sand in an hourglass. Even the wretched Summer Clan fell before me. Do you really think I cannot outlast you, Cursebreaker? What has happened to society? Once upon a time, a mortal such as yourself would have quaked in my heavenly presence. Now you openly defy me. Is nothing sacred anymore? Know this. A Kitsune has nothing but time. You, however, ought to take care the days you waste waging this rebellion do not turn into wasted years. That is, if I even let you live that long. You dare sully my snow-white fur with your filthy fingers? Go at once to the shrine and repent! And bring me a wet wipe. Are you quite sure you didn't mean to leave this offering for some, lesser spirit? Perhaps for the Kappa in their swamp? I suppose it was a nice change from my usual diet of dubiously fresh shrine offerings. Those go right to your buttocks if you're not diligent. You mistake me, mortal. I am not a beggar seeking your pity or your kindness, all the while humbly accepting that I may yet be turned away. I am a being of legend, older and more powerful than you can comprehend. I have borne the insult of my unjust punishment for long enough, and I will have my vindication by any means necessary. I am old and wise and clear of sight. I've seen your magic. I know you possess the power to make men out of beasts. If you value your wretched life, you will deny me no longer. I, too, once stood alone in defiance of insurmountably powerful foes. I bent them to my will, and I will do the same to you. You look awfully bendy. I shouldn't have allowed myself to be goaded into clan quarrels. My sensei used to say, "Don't wrestle with boar gods in mud, or you'll all come out filthy." In my case, we all came out furry. Surely those lesser Kitsune have spoken of me. Surely you have been warned of my power and my fury, and yet you show me no fear or respect. Do I have something in my fur? Why am I trying to convince you of my innocence? I do not need your approval, merely your compliance. Do not trifle with me, mortal. I, too, once... Why am I trying to convince you of my innocence? I do not need your approval, merely your compliance. Do not trifle with me, mortal. This offering is... acceptable. Not enough to gain my favor, perhaps, but certainly my indifference, which is no small thing from a Kitsune. Oh, very well. I did enjoy the peace of the natural setting, but don't think I can be won over so easily. Had a drop of that stale pond water touched my fur, I'd have used you as fishing bait. You test my patience, Cursebreaker. Do you believe my threats to be empty? That because I have need of your magic, you shall come to no harm so long as that remains the case? Well, for now you may be right. For now. I was so focused on the cruelty of my punishment, I forgot that a fox's eyes can still see beauty. I suppose I should thank you for reminding me. You vex me, Cursebreaker. Don't you know if you just did as you are commanded, we could be rid of one another? What game are you playing? I am no mere mischief maker. I am a shrine guardian, the last of my line, the last defense of the unspoiled mountain wilds. Nothing I did in service of such a noble cause could justify this sentence. I've had to invent new swear words just to convey my wrath. Baka na shitake! I shouldn't have allowed myself to be goaded into clan quarrels. My sensei used to say, "Don't wrestle with boar gods in mud, or you'll all come out filthy." In my case, we all came out furry. I told you we should never have trod in an evil place such as that. Who knows how many hitchhiking yokai I carried back into the land of the living with me? I waited so long for a sign from the gods. A sign that they too believed me innocent, and wished to see this injustice against me reversed. You were supposed to be that sign, Cursebreaker. Yet here I stand, curse unbroken, left to wonder. Did the gods summon you here intending for you to deny me? Or did they have no hand in our meeting whatsoever? Was all my waiting for nothing? You again? I'm starting to believe your continued refusal to cooperate with my demands is because you like having me around. My illustrious ancestor carried the goddess Inari herself down from the heavens. And now you tell me I have to wear a special vest to be allowed into human establishments? My perspective must have been skewed by all those lonely years up at the shrine waiting. I can think of no other explanation as to why I would be finding myself so grateful for your company. If you're not going to restore my ability to take the shape of a man, the least you can do is bring me a man-sized portion of fried tofu, and throw in a side of pickled daikon while you're at it. Cold? No. The mountain snow of my homeland is cold. My demeanor is merely unsentimental. The story behind my markings. Why, in one of my lifetimes, I was a great kabuki actor. The toast of Kyoto, in fact. Now, the kumadori patterns in my fur are all that remain of my former celebrity. I suppose you could have an autograph, if you ask nicely. To be a shapeshifter, to stride freely between worlds, that is the very nature of the Kitsune. To have that taken away, took away the very heart of me. And now, what is left? Only grief and fury.
Those Kitsune who fancy themselves free-spirited and make a big show of loving the wind in their fur obviously don't have 9 voluminous tails to untangle. Let's say I take you at your word. If you aren't the god's chosen curse breaker, merely refusing me out of spite, then how did all those other beasts that came to you for aid become men? What do you mean you just kissed them? Is this one of Aki's pranks? On second thought, this particular ploy has that irreformable flirt Haru written all over it. Go on. Who put you up to this?
Mark me, if this turns out to be a trick, you will come to regret. It's nice to be back on 2 legs again. But until I can shapeshift at will, I don't consider this curse broken. So don't think you're rid of me yet. For centuries, I knew nothing but the loneliness of death and war. And lo, I came to you, vengeful and violent. But I wasn't always that way. I was a courtier once, an artist. I wrote poetry that made the very mountains blush. Endless, naughty haiku. That philanderer Haru always said you could catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. But I've boiled in the salt of my anger for so many years, I'm not sure there's much sweetness left in me. At best, I might have an umami heart. For better or for worse, you and I are duty-bound to one another until this curse is broken. Until that day, I shall not leave your side, nor allow you to come to harm. Unless you challenge me to that kart racing game, then no mercy. It comes at the cost of companionship, but there's safety in cultivating an intimidating presence. You should try it. Maybe then you wouldn't have those green teeth from that prank candy Aki gave you. The world passed me by while I stood vigil at my shrine, awaiting vindication. Even language seemed to recast itself in my absence. To wit, what is up, dog? There are some things I quite like about your world, Cursebreaker. This new style of play you call professional wrestling is as choreographed as any geisha's dance. And the costumes are so fanciful. Wait, why are you looking at me like that? Is that affection in your eyes? Stop that at once! I am an ancient and unknowable force of fang and claw. You're growing awfully familiar in my exalted presence, you know. But that thing you're doing feels good, so I suppose I'll allow it. You have my thanks. Give it back when you're done. Oh, that's a joke, by the way. Just trying it out.
The tea may have been a touch oversteeped, but the company more than made up for it. This curse may have cost me my shape-shifting powers, But 'twas I who let my bitterness turn to idleness. I forgot that growth, too, is a kind of transformation. A power not even gods can take away. I can still change. Even if I can't take forms of both beast and man, I can always grow. And in that change, I am limited only by my mind. Why, perhaps I could even grow to appreciate you. Did you bring an offering? No matter. I've rather had my fill of offerings over these long years. They may have fed my body, but they never fed my spirit. Also, they were giving me heartburn. Now that I have lived to see times of peace, and have my hands back, I can finally take up my ink brush instead of my katana. If only I had a hand as practiced at painting as at warfare. I might commit your pleasing likeness to parchment. For me? You're quite sure? To receive such a personal gift after years of only customary offerings, I don't know what to say. Cherry blossoms dance. Meet their partners in the pool. Love reflects itself. Oh, sorry. It's just that the picturesque outing inspired me to compose a haiku. At first, I was insulted by your refusal to acquiesce to my demands. Then, I was exasperated by it. Now, you have my respect. Perhaps even my admiration. It can't have been easy to stand your ground in the face of an ancient power such as mine. A lesser mortal would have fled to escape my wrath. But you stayed. As a friendly Shiba spirit said to me once, such intrigue. Very nifty. Much wow. Oh, you came back. I mean, welcome back. I've been anxiously awaiting you. To be my opponent in a game of Go. I haven't played since I beat the Shogun's champion and was banned from the castle games. For me? Oh, all right. The view at the peak of that towering iron monstrosity was quite impressive, I suppose. It's no Mount Fuji, but it wasn't entirely offensive. Do you remember when our paths first crossed? Back then, I thought that it was fate that brought you to me. I took it as proof that the gods, too, believed my curse to be unjust. I still believe in fate, and I still believe we met for a reason. Not for you to fulfill my selfish desire for vindication, but for you to show me a better way of living. With an open heart. Your nice butt doesn't hurt either. Sit, stay a while. I grow lonesome and eager for your presence. I composed a poem for you. I seem to recall it was a common gesture of affection once. But if it's terribly passé nowadays, I apologize. Even before my curse, I was not well practiced in this respect. Perhaps it was not the gods, but the red string of fate that brought us together. And no, I'm not being fanciful or romantic by saying so. In the spirit world, such notions are as ordinary as rain or three-faced centipedes of woeful blight. I used to be a rather proficient shamisen player in my younger, fewer-tailed years. Now it would seem you have inspired me to take it up again. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. I wasn't making eyes at you. I was glowering at you. Intensely. Because you still haven't broken my curse. And I refuse to let you leave my sight until you do. Every move you make,
I'll be watching you. If you're cold, I invite you to wrap yourself in my tails. I think you'll find a northern kitsune's fur is as insulating as it is luxuriously soft to stroke. Oh, so you have skilled hands as well, my curse breaker. What can't you do? I dare say I am intrigued to find out.
Ha! Those ghouls weren't quite so keen to torment me this time around, now were they? They must have sensed I am regaining my Kitsune powers. I chose to serve my curse in exile, but I had chosen loneliness long before. For 1,000 years, I've been as remote as a mountain peak, as inhospitable as a glacier, as unforgiving as the Arctic wind. Now I'm finally ready to make a different choice, one that leads even my jaded old spirit to tremble with fear and yearning. I choose to risk rejection. I choose to declare my love for you. Even if I never shapeshift again, you've broken my true curse of solitude. You were worth the wait, my curse breaker, and I will prove my worth to you again and again. Yours eternally, Fuyu. What's an hour to a kitsune? A year, a lifetime. Stay with me, and we shall watch the changing of the seasons, as if we were paging through a book of woodblock prints. Ah, this gift deserves its own shrine, and its own guardian spirit to watch over it. Or I could put it by my bedside so I can look at it every day. If I truly wanted to disguise myself, you'd have never known I was at the ball at all. But would my sense of triumph truly have been worth missing an opportunity to waltz with you? I thought I'd be set in my old ways forever, but you inspired me to face the fear in my bruised heart, to open myself up to the possibility of love over the certainty of loneliness. Well, now I wonder if I ought to open myself up to the possibility of peace with the other Kitsune clans as well. If nothing else, we do have one thing that unites us: loving you. What's an hour to a Kitsune? A year, a lifetime. Stay with me, and we shall watch the changing of the seasons, as if we were paging through a book of woodblock prints. A gift to be treasured as much as the giver. But of course our paths crossed. Your heart calls to mine. How did I fail to recognize it for so long? What did you say these were called again? Boxers. I'm not one for blood sport, but I do enjoy the feeling of this silky fabric. There is no immortality but a kitsune's love. And those strange phone devices, what are they called? No Kira? No Killer? Something. To have a kitsune in your service is to have great fortune indeed. I also have excellent telephone etiquette. Since knowing you, I have rediscovered tender parts of me I thought long lost. I feel whole again. Thank you. Now that I'm no longer trapped this way, it actually feels rather freeing to be a fox.
Let's chase each other in circles, or sneak into some place we don't belong, or do a barrel roll. It's strange. Whenever you are around, my body feels warm. But I was always told the Kitsune of my clan had the wind of the northern mountains in our veins. Could I be acclimating? You like me like this, do you? With a touch of beast in me still? How intriguing. Come, lay your head in my lap and I'll read you poetry. And then, whenever the position begins to strain your neck, we'll switch places. I am ancient and unknowable and comfy. A kitsune may grow to have 9 tails, but we only ever have one heart, and mine belongs to you. As disguises go, I'm certainly capable of better. But in terms of fashionable tailoring, this is beyond reproach. You know, I find the notion of my lover combing my hair quite intriguing. Surely it must be one of life's most intimate, sensual pleasures. Completely unrelated, but I bought you a hairbrush, hair ties, and some butterfly clips. A costume? Interesting. Will I be performing in a play? Why do I suddenly scent candy on the wind? My dear Cursebreaker, you gave me not what I demanded, but what I truly needed. How will I ever repay you? Give it thoughtful consideration. An indebted kitsune is a treasure beyond gold. Now I have to be responsible for this goldfish. Have you heard of a place called Broadway? 'Tis a street said to be wide enough to host a dozen performance troupes all at once. Sounds like the perfect place to spend the day with one's lover. I suppose, since those other kitsune have earned your love and affection, that I could follow your magnanimous example and set aside my grudge against them. You really are turning me soft. I can't remember the last time I looked forward to the many years left ahead of me. I shall be grateful for every day of my life I get to spend with you. But of course our paths crossed. Your heart calls to mine. How did I fail to recognize it for so long? It's a bit of a step down from my days as a kabuki star, but I auditioned to be in a local play. I was cast as tree number 4. They offered me the romantic lead, but I couldn't bear to kiss anyone but you. Can I ask you something? Is my kimono out of style? Be honest. I have a wedding to attend later, and it's the first time my kin will have seen me wearing clothes in a couple of centuries. What does fate have in store for us next, I wonder? Drama? Tragedy? Discovery? Pleasure? For the first time in centuries, I could not say. How exciting. And what a blessing to walk into that bright, unknown future with you, my Cursebreaker, my love. I have no idea what this is, but it looks expensive. I mean, tasteful. You know me so well. You know we Kitsune are very firm believers in the philosophy of tit for tat. So how am I supposed to repay you for a gift such as this, I wonder? I hope you plan on staying a while. I feel inspired to make an increasingly poetic series of romantic confessions to you. I have gained favor with shoguns and emperors, merchants and foreign traders, all of them with wealth and power beyond imagining. But none so generous as you. I figured out what song reminds me of you. Of course, it's an instrumental piece that hasn't been performed since the Heian period, so you'll just have to believe me when I say its beauty suits you. Loosely translated, the song is called Thick. I'm not sure if it was because I had a fox face or just that I was a miserable loner, but I swear I forgot how to smile. Luckily, every time I see you is another opportunity to practice. You put me in an awfully romantic mood, you know. Now, what are you going to do about that, I wonder? One should never waste opportunities. That man you were with, are you sure he's not possessed by some kind of yokai? He has a darkness around him. Be cautious of that dark-haired fellow I've seen lurking around. No, not Haru, the other one. Although, Haru too.
There you are. I was beginning to get worried I wouldn't see you today.
Someone put a wad of sticky sap in my hair. It's called bubblegum, you say? Well, whatever it is, it won't come out, and my beautiful locks haven't been shorn in centuries. This is a desecration. Some mortals just make your fur bristle on sight. That friend of yours would do well not to cross me. I won't be so merciful with him as I was with you. If I ever find out who put dog food in my bento lunch, there'll be hell to pay. That kind of trick is low even for Aki.
All I'm saying is, you can tell a lot about a person by how they treat those they see as lesser than themselves. Listen to how Fuyu talks about me. The Winter Clan are known for their artistic feats, especially in the theater. Fuyu is a prime example. On a good day, I would say he has a flair for the dramatic. On a bad day, I call him the drama llama. One time I gave Fuyu a glass of water with a hole near the lip. When he tried to drink it, it soaked him. I thought he was going to make a rug out of me. Guy's scary when he wants to be.
Ugh, Aki's generation is always watching those little screens of theirs. In my day, we had hours-long no dramas. Huh, Kitsune these days. Have you seen that schemer Aki around here somewhere? Somebody switched out the tea leaves in my pot for grass clippings. It was actually rather refreshing, but it's the principle of the matter.
Fuyu's idea of a good prank is asking someone if they have lazy shoes, then asking if they're loafers. Man has the sense of humor of a brick.
Trickery is a pup's trade. Once you have your second tail, you really ought to have grown out of it. Oh, that's right. Never mind. Doesn't sunshine make trees tall? Then how can Aki come from a balmy southern climate and still be so... you know. I don't play tricks. I facilitate ironically appropriate life lessons for the betterment of humankind. There's an important distinction there that Aki clearly doesn't grasp.
I was chosen as a representative of the Autumn Clan. I can be just as dangerous as Fuyu can. But if there's one area where I don't measure up, I don't have his capacity for cruelty.
Haru may call me a cold fish, but you know what else is cold fish? Sushi, which is delicious. That must be Haru I smell on you. That cheap cologne can't possibly be yours.
I love to coax Fuyu out of his stuffy, humorless shell. Too bad old folks are always so stuck in their ways. I bet Fuyu's bed has been cold for a long time. Just like him. Between you and me, I think he likes it that way. I wonder if Fuyu has spent much time diving face first into snow. You have to admit, it's a funny mental image.
I admit, I've played the seducer from time to time when I needed to teach some lecherous human a lesson. But I always brought such subtlety to the role. Haru, on the other hand... What does the fox say? Well, whatever it is, if it's coming out of Haru's mouth, it's naught but empty flattery. And sometimes it's a shrill ki-ki-ki-ki-ki-ki-ki. I do a fine impression of Haru. Watch this.
Do you believe in love at first sight? Or should I show you the other side of my chest? An ice cold heart can be melted, but what can be done with a heart of stone? Amazing how someone can live so long and not know how to live it up even a little.